Welcome to Attic Raiders Retro Reviews, where today we're going to be battling bot baddies as we take on the nefarious NAZGAR and his fiendish forces. In today's game, the Super Popomatic Robo Force 3D action game. The Super Popomatic Robo Force 3D action game, that is a mouthful. We're just going to call it the Robo Force game from now on. So, the Robo Force game was released in 1984 by Ideal and is a game for 2 to 4 players aged 5 and up. Now there's two main selling points for this game. Number one, it features a pop-o-matic, which Ideal obviously felt was a big enough gimmick that they would highlight it with not only writing about it on the front of the box, but also have a cutout window so you could actually see the popper. And the fact that this game is an official Robo Force tie-in. Robo Force was a line of action figures released by Ideal in 1984, featuring suction cup based robots with a unique crushing arm mechanism. There were 3 vehicles in the range, a massive playset, and 10 figures, with Maxx Steele leading the forces of good, Blazer, Copter, Sentinel, Wrecker, and Sota, against the evil Hun-Dred and his minions, Enemy, Cruel and Vulgar. The toy line was supported by 3 pack-in mini-comics and a 22-minute animated special, but ultimately failed, most likely due to Transformers being released at the same time. A planned second line of figures were never released, but a lot of merchandise was, including this game. You can see there's not much in the way of artwork here. We have Maxx Steele rendered really beautifully in this really realistic painting, but you can see that most of this box is taken up with the actual game because the 3D nature of it is a big draw. Linking into the official mythos and lore of Robo Force, you've got to lead the Robo Force on a mission of conquest through the evil robot empire, where you're going to be trying to rescue some of these Uni-Bots from the lair of the evil NAZGAR. Now, I'm a sucker for 3D games and for mechanisms, and the fact that it's got the pop-o-matic gimmick on this really just adds to it. We can see that already it's gone way above and beyond the usual flat cardboard printout fare of tie-ins that were officially released for cartoons and movies, but how does it fare in terms of actual gameplay and enjoyability? Well, let's take a closer look and find out. The game comes with 4 movers that represent 4 of the members of the Robo Force team. Each one of these movers is double-sided, made from plastic, and shows each of the robots shown in side profile. We've got Maxx Steele, who was the Robo Force leader. We've got Blazer, the igniter, Copter, the enforcer, and Sota, the creator, who was a professor whose name stood for state of the art. We've got 4 double-sided plastic Uni-Bots. We've got 3 stun sentries, which have a little mechanism on the top here. We've got an ejector bot, which again has got a little mechanism on it here. We've got a bot breaker that has a movable sliding arm. There's 2 plastic tower posts, a plastic tower platform, 2 plastic stun sentry posts with caps which are connected together by this elastic band, and a cardboard and plastic game board. You can see the artwork on this game board. If I turn it over, this is just a really quite thin, really thin cardboard that is underneath a good quality, thankfully, plastic shell here. And of course, it's got its pop-o-matic in the center here. The pop-o-matic was of course a gimmick which was invented in order to roll die for you. It basically just meant that you never have to touch the die and it's always in a contained space, so it's never going to go rolling all over the place and you're going to lose it. Dice have been around for thousands of years, but the pop-o-matic was invented by Albert Stubman with a patent applied for in 1965 by the Calmer brothers, which was granted in 1967. The Pop-o-matic first featured in the game Trouble, which was developed and released by the Calmer brothers in 1965. In order to roll the die, you simply press down on the dome, it pops, and it should roll it for you, and it will give you a different number each time, just like rolling a normal die. To set the game up then, the tower posts are placed onto the 2 pegs at the back, which are marked with the letter A. The stun sentry posts are placed onto the 2 pegs, which are marked with the letter B. You will find that there is a lot of slack on this elastic, but that is deliberate because it will need to be stretched quite a lot. The elastic is then taken and slotted into these slots in the legs of the tower, and then the tower platform is slotted on top of the legs, and this bit can be really rather fiddly, but once you get that on, then that will hold it in place. Uni-Bots are inserted into the tabs in the top of the platform. The stun sentries are then placed into the tabs, which are marked with the letter C, and those have to go in so that the arm on them here is pointing towards the tower platform. Once that's done, the elastic is taken and stretched, going into the tab or the slot in each of those stun sentry arms, making this nice zigzag pattern. The ejector bot then goes onto the tab, which is marked with the letter D here, this red piece slotting over the top of that so it can move up and down like this. The bot breaker goes onto the peg, which is marked with the letter E, which is next to the finish. And the robo force moving pieces go onto the start space, ready to begin the game. The object of the game then is to be the first person to get their robot from the start space over to the tower to rescue one of the 4 Uni-Bots and bring them back to the spaceship where they can blast off and rescue them. And to do that, you're going to move across the board in a determined fashion, moving along this yellow line here that is set out for you, across here, over the tower, collecting a Uni-Bot, then back around here and back again, ending up at the finish. If your move ends exactly on this space here, then you can automatically bypass the ejector bot by following this dotted line and moving your piece to here. Otherwise, you're going to have to move around the ejector bot like this as usual. So players just take it in turn, popping the die in the pop-o-matic and then moving that number of spaces. It really is going to be pop and move, pop and move, pop and move. Now you obviously can't occupy the same space as another player, so if that happens, you're going to have to move 1 space back. Now the tower takes up 3 spaces and you can't actually land on it, so in order to move from one side to the other, you're going to have to pop a number which allows you to get all the way over without stopping. So Sota here would have to get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order to move all the way across. If he got a 1, he could go here, but a 2, a 3 or a 4, then he's not going to be able to move. With that 5 popped, Sota is going to be able to move onto the tower, take any one of the Uni-Bots, place it onto his arm so that he's carrying it, and place him onto the spot where he should land. During the game, if you pop what the instructions call a sparkle, although clearly it's an explosion, then that's when the fun actually begins. You now get to activate the ejector bot, the bot breaker, and any one of the stun sentries. Any bots which were caught by one of NAZGAR'S security devices that were not carrying a Uni-Bot are going to have to go back to the start and begin again. Any bots that were carrying a Uni-Bot simply drop their Uni-Bot go back to where they were, and next time they're going to have to pick that Uni-Bot up and put it back on their arm instead of popping the Pop-O-Matic and having a go. So if you've got a Uni-Bot, it's not too bad. You're just going to have to wait a little bit longer. But if you haven't got one yet, starting again is going to be a real pain. In order to get to the finish, this is a game where you're going to have to pop the exact number, otherwise you're going to be left waiting. But eventually somebody's going to get there, and when they do that with their Uni-Bot, then they've won the game. As you can see, this game is incredibly simple. So simple, in fact, that it's really rather boring, despite the fact that it's robot themed, has a 3-dimensional board, and has working trap mechanisms. The problem is there's 0 player agency. There's no decisions for you to make at all at any point in this game. You're moving your piece along a set path with no possibility of going in other directions. I mean, you can bypass the ejector bot by using a shortcut, but you can't choose to do that. You have to land exactly on that space. So everything is just determined by the roll or the pop of the die. Now those trap mechanisms, which really were the main selling point for me, they are fun, but the thing is, they work every single time, so there's no mystery or doubt as to whether or not you're going to get knocked over, because you are going to get knocked over every single time. And going back to the start and beginning again is really rather tedious. The other problem though is that there are 59 spaces on this board that you have to move across, and only 9 of them are trapped. So there's only a 15% chance of you landing on a trapped space. And even then, the trap is not going to be set off unless one of your opponents then rolls a sparkle, which has only got a 1 in 6 chance or 17% chance of activating when you're on a trapped space. So these traps really don't go off that often during the game at all. And let's face it, that's the only interesting bit of it. The punching robot down near the finish almost never gets used. The ejector bot, because it's got quite a lot of spaces that it can affect, it does get used quite a lot. But this elastic band trap only affects 3 spaces, so it doesn't actually come into play very much in the game, despite pretty much dominating the board. Although, because you have to roll to get exactly across the tower, you do find that you get snarled up in this corner by this one space on the elastic band trap for quite a bit of the game, trying to get close enough to get a number to get across there. But those are really the only interesting points. For a game that pretty much sells itself on some 3-dimensional working trap mechanisms, they're entirely not used enough, which is a pity because I really do like the Robo Force brand, and I love the fact that there's working traps, and I really love the robot theme. So the elements are there for a fun game, but the actual gameplay of this is really pretty dire. This is one that I won't be spending time setting up and playing anytime in the near future. So unfortunately, I can't recommend this game. So it's a shame, but we can't win them all. Well, I hope this has been useful to you. If it has, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Do you remember the RoboForce action figures? Did you have any of those toys? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Well, until next time, when we'll have more vintage board games and wargaming, this is Attic Raiders Retro Reviews.